Joining us now to talk about all of this is Jonathan Alter, the author of 4 books about American presidents, as well as a Substack newsletter. He's an MSNBC contributor. Susan Glasser, staff writer for The New Yorker, and Leila Milana Allen, a special correspondent for PBS NewsHour, who has been in Israel since the start of the war. So, Jonathan, first to you, we're seeing more people urging a ceasefire, which, of course, Israel and the U.S. are against. Also, we saw the massive march for Israel in Washington. So this war has really energized people on both sides, and there's very little communication between the two.
Yeah, I think that's right. Passions are running high for understandable reasons because of the pictures that we've been seeing from the Middle East, both the pictures of what happened on October 7th and the pictures of what has happened in the weeks since inside Gaza. So, you know, a lot of this was boiling under the surface, Andrea, and this crisis has brought this out, and it is right now dividing the Democratic Party. That doesn't mean those divisions will necessarily be permanent. You know, the fighting might not be going on all that much longer. Bibi Netanyahu, according to my Israeli sources, will not be in office much longer. So this is a fluid situation, and we're not sure whether this level of protest will continue, but it's very intense right now.
And Susan, you were writing in The New Yorker this week about the optics of President Biden meeting with China's president in California, a lavish summit meeting, while the top leadership of the Democratic Party inside their party headquarters here in Washington was being blocked by young protesters. What does this mean potentially for the youth vote, for a big part of the Democratic base in 2024?
Well, I think, Andrea, you know, we are really struck by the almost exact split screen timing. Biden giving a press conference, having this very important superpower summit, the first time that Biden and Xi have met in more than a year face to face. And the leaders of his own party are literally being blockaded inside the Democratic National Headquarters at that time by young left-leaning protesters, pro-Palestinian protesters. This is the energy on this. It is a domestic U.S. political issue as well as an international issue and a foreign policy issue. That's clear. And I think that, you know, for Democrats, it's also kind of a belated reckoning. Biden is very much, it seems to me, a kind of a liberal internationalist of the 20th century. And support for Israel was a core bedrock of the party. I'm not sure that that's really the case going forward. This is a different Democratic Party. For years, there have been warnings to Netanyahu that he had pursued a very partisan strategy of allying with Republicans in the U.S. and that it would come back to bite Israel in a crisis. Well, we're in the crisis now.
Indeed. And in fact, Joe Biden was one of those who was warning Netanyahu most forcefully back in 2009 when he was first vice president and going to Israel and Netanyahu was expanding the settlements. Leila, you've been talking to displaced Gazans. I want to play part of your report last night from the PBS NewsHour.
Today in their leaflets, they're telling us to evacuate the south.
Early today, the IDF dropped leaflets over the southern city of Khan Yunis, warning residents to get out. But many, like the Abu Jabal family, don't know where to go.
They asked us, the citizens of Gaza, to go to the south. We went to the south. Now they're asking us to leave. Where do we go? We want to understand where exactly we should go.
I mean, that's the problem. They were told go south, that it would be safe. Well, it wasn't safe. The corridors weren't established, nor was it free of attacks. But many of them did go safe, and now they're being told today to leave the south because that's next after they finish with, you know, with what they're doing in the north.
Absolutely. And the problem is for so many Gazans, Palestinians in Gaza, where do they go? They've been told to leave the north at the beginning. They said no. They then did start moving. And I was there inside Gaza a few days ago with the Israel Defense Forces watching streams of helpless people with bags of clothes, plastic bags, one by one being searched as they went along. They've got nothing to their name anymore. They're carrying wounded people in makeshift wheelbarrow armed wheelchairs. And they're all streaming south, and then they get south, and in Khan Yunis, the biggest city in the south of Gaza, they're being bombed. In refugee camps, they're being bombed. They already live in tent cities. Where can they go now? There is this one tiny strip by the beach that they've been told to go to by the IDF. It's incredibly hot outside. They don't have water. They haven't had water for weeks. People here don't have food. They don't have cars to move around in. What are they going to do, live on the beach?
And now they don't have cell service either. And you've spent so much time there, so we wanted to talk to you about your ground truth, because the lack of cell service is causing huge panic where people are displaced already and can't get in touch with relatives.
Absolutely, and it really makes them feel voiceless. The first day that it happened, the last message someone sent out was, they're going to kill us in the dark. And of course, the problem is that Western journalists can't freely operate in Gaza. We are able to go in with the Israel Defense Forces, but that's it. So Palestinian journalists are risking their lives and they are dying. 37 Palestinian journalists have already died in this war trying to report on what's happening. So people feel they're under siege, as they are, and as though more and more frequently they now can't show anyone the truth of what's happening to them.
Susan Glasser, just finally, this is an intractable problem, and it is unlikely to be solved in any substantive way as this campaign season heats up.
You're right, Andrea. And thank you, Leila, for that really powerful report from the ground. I have to say, the problem here, as it looks in Washington, is what is Israel's plan? What does success even mean in this campaign? And I've heard that again and again. What is a victory? How would we define it? To the extent there is a plan for after Hamas, it's not a plan that anyone agrees on. There seems to be real tensions emerging, in fact, between the Biden administration and the Israeli government on what that would be. So I think 5 weeks into this horror, it doesn't look any clearer what some kind of meaningful resolution would be. And meanwhile, tragedy, obviously, on the ground.